Joining us now here, helping us talk some NFL season, week 1, is a Super Bowl champion, a Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year, 2-time first-team All-Pro, 4-time Pro Bowler, 2-time All-SEC with Brian's LSU Tigers.
Damn right.
It's former offensive tackle Andrew Whitworth here with you on 105.3 The Fan. And a good afternoon, sir. How the heck are you?
I like the juice and energy. I'm ready, baby. I'm doing good.
Man, it's so perfect that you're joining us. We have so many questions for you. Take us back to the offseason. Micah Parsons calls you and asks, what's he asking for, and what was your response?
He just kind of reached out. Was like, man, I want to do things a little differently. He's like, obviously, there's all these D-line people out there that can teach me stuff and stuff I can learn from them. But I want to hear from guys who played on the other side of the football and what their opinion of, what the hardest things to block are and what are the challenges that are, going against an offensive lineman. What are you thinking about? And what do I need to know that's in their mind of how to stop me? And I thought it was like so impressive, just his curiosity and just his infectious energy about wanting to get better. And then 2, just to pose that question, because at first I was like, man, I don't know why you would want to get with, work with me or something. But then I was like, man, what a cool concept to think of it that way. Like, let's do this. So I flew down to Austin and spent a week down there and got a chance to work with him a little bit. And now we still kind of catch up here or there when he has questions. And I'll put some tape together and we'll talk about stuff. So it's fun. I got a chance to go watch him in Cowboys camp. It was a really cool experience, and I'm looking forward to the relationship.
By the way, Andrew, yeah, go Tigers for sure. I was going to ask you this question: Is this a change in what we've seen with players' interaction? There would be a time where I remember, and I was an NFL scout for a long time, and I don't ever remember players have this willingness to share with other players. Is this something that's just completely new, or is it just trying to grow the game? How do you view when a player of his status comes and asks you questions about things?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think when I got in the NFL and really most of my career, I don't know, if you had that much interaction other than guys you may have played with in college or, same agency or something. I don't know if I had a lot of interaction with guys outside of my team and my teammates. And you do have the occasional off-season workout or something where you might see somebody. I was somebody who didn't work out at a facility or anything my whole career till the end of it, so I never really saw guys in the off-season, but other than just union stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's new, and I love it. I actually think I've said this before, I actually think that the NFL is better right now because the guys who play it currently, your superstars, are some of the most open, conversational, curious, want to just dive into what makes people better and being, good ambassadors of the culture of a football team. I think it makes it really special. You look at Patrick Mahomes, to me, one of the greatest football players on the planet right now, if not the dude, just who he is and how he is every day when you're around. Every time I've ever been around him, he's so welcoming, so cool, knows everybody as far as players and kind of gives everybody their respect. I mean, I just think you look at that and on down the line, all those guys, when some of your superstars are those kind of dudes, it makes the league that way. So it's just totally different. I think it's so refreshing, and also what makes this league right now such an exciting watch.
We were at camp as well for a couple of weeks, Andrew, and Micah appeared to just be more dominant than the first 2 seasons. How much better do you think he's going to be than last year?
Look, as a rusher, there's so many things that have to happen, right? I mean, you got guys who have great seasons. I look at Max Crosby. I mean, he's a guy, you turn on the tape and it's like he is just destroying guys, and he may not end up with as many sacks as you think just because of, situation, circumstance. The ball gets out of time, that, teams start to worry about him all the time, so they're always doing things to not let him get home. So, there's going to be challenges. So I think sometimes you look at great rushers. That's one of the things we talked about. You got to keep bringing it and just realize that eventually you're going to have that, the dam's going to break at some point, and you're going to be able to have that game where you have a huge game, even though people try and take you out. And so he's one of those guys, he's driven that way, and that his tenacity day in and day out is what really makes him special, is he wants to compete and win at everything. He doesn't care what it is. So, I mean, he's one of my, I think, in my opinion, he's my lead favorite for being, MVP of the year in defense. So I think he could be the defensive MVP this year and really has an opportunity to take that next step in his game where he continues to wreak havoc. And I think for him, that's beating some of the like really elite tackles in the way that he beats the other guys. And I think that'll be that next little notch that'll put him over the board to be that kind of MVP.
That's exciting. We're talking with Andrew Whitworth here in the GBag Nation. What do you think overall about the Cowboys' chances in the NFC? And specifically, we've had a lot of conversations about their offensive line, and they're a little bit banged up right now. But what do you see when you think about the Cowboys?
Yeah, I mean, you look at it. This team every year is right there in it. They're competitive, and you're like, man, every year you're kind of dissecting, do they have enough? I think, unfortunately for them, like, you look at Philly's growth and how good they are, and some things worked out in Philly's, case just as far as acquiring talent, where they already had some guys there, that you're in a division now that's getting better and better and better. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges for them, is that you're not in a division that you can just dominate, and so the rest of the league's all you can focus on. They're in a division where every game's going to be, scrapping to try and win everything. No matter, I don't care, you take the worst team in the division, you don't have a good day, they probably can beat you. And so that's going to be their biggest challenge, is that you get a little beat up in your division when it's really, really good, and you got to overcome that somewhat. So I think for them, number one, it's just, can the offensive line stay healthy enough? I think defensively they can be really good. Dan Quinn's one of my favorite humans on the planet. I mean, I love that dude. Every time I'm around him, I walk away from it just like, what a special human being and coach. And obviously Coach McCarthy, man, has been, a legend himself. And so I think they have some great men at the helm. I think they have some great young, talented football players. I'd love to see them put it together, and I think they need that. I think right now the only thing they're short is just, having the quarterback, Dak, and some of those guys get hot at the right time. It's not necessarily that they haven't played well enough, but you look at the playoffs every year, it's about the teams that get hot. And they got to get to those playoffs and be ready to roll and get hot.
I know you were man of the year, Walter Payton style, but if you were a Kadarius Toney teammate last night, how hard would it have been to not want to punch him in the face?
Well, I think that's when you get your opportunity to show what kind of leader you are, man. I know what Patrick probably did after that game, or has done today, because he's an elite dude, and Travis the same way. Wrapped his arms around them and remind them why they're there and why they're special to you, because guys have bad nights. And unfortunately, your bad night came on a night where we didn't have other guys we needed. And it was going to be really big for you to be there for us. And it didn't happen in the way we wanted. And, I think still, though, if you're a Kansas City Chief, I mean, are you really that concerned? I mean, the Lions are one of the teams that everybody's excited about, for the right reasons. I mean, they do have a really good offense, and their defense looks much better. But if I'm a Kansas City Chief, we probably played as bad as we can play. We don't have two of our biggest superstars. We lost to the Colts and went to overtime with the Texans last year and won the Super Bowl. So I don't think that the Chiefs really care that much, in the sense of, oh, man, we're not going to get all down or freak out. Like, they're so freaking good, they're going to say, hey, you know what? That's a blemish. And we've done this before and won a Super Bowl to teams that are much worse than the Lions. The Lions are a good football team. So they beat us. And once we get our guys, we'll be completely confident. I don't see them walking away from it with any lack of confidence.
How much would you have enjoyed playing for Man Campbell?
Man, he's a lot of fun. I would have loved it. Earlier in my career, that was right in the mindset and attitude I was joking earlier. I mean, Lord, for a lineman who was, I was ejected. People forget, I was Walter Payton Man of the Year, but also earlier in my career, I was ejected twice. So I like to get down. So, listen, I would love to bite the kneecaps earlier in my career. That's for sure. So I would have had a lot of fun playing for him.
Andrew, you're beloved in Cincinnati as well. When you saw the news of Joe Burrow, you probably you were very happy, not only for the Bengal organization, but also for the folks of Cincinnati as well.
Oh man, I couldn't be more ecstatic for him. I mean, I was so happy for him. I sent Joe a text just congratulating him and talking about how much he's earned and deserves it. But I also told him this officially means he's paying for all the dinners from now on. So, look, that guy, man, he's elite. He's special. He's rare. He makes people, not only, but regardless how good he is, he makes people around him better and want to be better. So I'm happy for that city. I'm happy for him. I can't wait. I'm actually going there, even though we're not doing the game. I'm going there for Monday Night Football for Rams-Bengals. First time Rams have been in Cincinnati for a regular season game since I was a Ram. So, we played them in London the one time I was there. So it'll be fun. I'm going to go back to the game. Chad Johnson's going in the ring. I can't wait to see that. And it's going to be a fun night.
Do you think the Rams bounce back, and how much tougher is that without Kupp?
It's going to be challenging. I mean, without Cooper Kupp, it is going to be a challenge. I think what's fun for their team right now is that the topic of being great is obviously that all 32 teams start off week one saying, hey, we want to win a Super Bowl or whatever. But the reality for them is they're so young and there's so many pieces that they're relying on to like grow and get experience and gain experience this year that they can't even go that far yet. It's really about, man, who are we week one? And whatever happens in that game, are we able to stay in a rhythm and a routine where week 2 we grow and week 3 we grow? And so I think the fun thing for their team is it's going to be about this journey of growing up these young guys, teaching them how to play NFL the right way. And hey, what does our team look like come, late October and November and December? What do we look like as this young, youthful team? Are we able to keep that energy and see some growth out of guys that really makes you excited about the future ahead? And I think that's their season is that it's really that. And then, if you look up in December and you got a chance to make the playoffs and you get in the playoffs and get hot, who knows? But it really has got to be a week in and week out thing of developing and raising up guys, because that is a really young football team and a lot of young guys who are going to be relied on to play a lot of snaps.
My final question for you, it's really great and interesting to see Jared Goff playing at such a high level again after getting to the Super Bowl with you guys, and then they move on from him. We thought, wow, is he transitioning into non-franchise quarterback? And here he is, like, breaking records for consecutive passes without interceptions again. What's Jared Goff to you? How good is this guy? Did the Rams, do the right thing moving on from him when they did?
Well, I think when you look at it, I think it's really cool in the NFL. Anytime you get to see these kind of trades happen and both sides end up winning. And I think, to me, regardless of what people want to say about the Rams and tearing it down or whatever, like, that's just more like talk for people, because the truth is they won the Super Bowl. Like, how many teams have won the Super Bowl? And how many teams have ever, that are sitting there in the NFL, have been a part of it forever and have never won one? They would trade places with the Rams, and they'd give you any amount of money they got in their cap to do it. That's just the fact. And so winning that Super Bowl, you'll never trade. So the Matthew Stafford trade worked out amazingly for the Rams. I mean, it really did. Will there be a lull of time where it's tougher to acquire some of the guys that maybe, Rams fans and everybody else wants and spend the money that you want? Yeah, but you know what? At the same time, in Detroit, they got what they wanted. They got the opportunity to get picks, to get Jared. And you look at this team, it's ascending. Jared's played great. He's done an amazing job. I texted him last night. I mean, couldn't be more proud of him. I mean, I thought, honestly, when it happened, as a friend and a big brother to him, it's one of those things. He's devastated. Everything goes on. But for me, I felt like this is going to be one of the greatest things that's ever happened to Jared Goff. And it's because of exactly what he's experiencing. He went through a tough year there. The rejection of getting traded, and became a different dude and a better leader and a better man. And I couldn't be happier for him to be exactly where he's at, man. It warms me up, man. I love it.
Did you give Matthew Stafford any advice of how to connect to these younger teammates?
No, Staff's fine, man. He's one of the rarest, just great dudes every single day. I have no doubt those guys look up to him.
Well, thanks so much for the conversation, Andrew. That was fantastic. You can catch Andrew on Thursday Night Football on Amazon. And also, thank you so much for helping Micah, man. Cowboy fans salute you.
I appreciate it, man. Thank y'all for having me on.